The phone buzzed on the nightstand, cutting through the silence like a blade. Michael reached for it, his hand halting when Emma's name lit up the screen with words that froze his veins. "Last night was perfect. I can't stop thinking about you," he whispered to himself. "No, that can't be real." The room shrank around him, air growing heavy as he unlocked a screen. Each swipe felt like a dagger. Message after message appeared, forming a tapestry of betrayal. His heart pounded so loud it drowned the quiet hum of the city outside. "She never loved me," he muttered, voice breaking. He stared at the glowing screen, realizing his entire life had been rewritten in an instant. A silence thicker than any scream swallowed him whole. Michael sat frozen as the silence pressed into him, broken only by the refrigerator's hum in the distance. He wanted to throw the phone, shatter it, erase what he saw, but the words glowed with cruel permanence. His mind spun through memories of Emma, her laugh, her gentle touch, her promises whispered in the dark. "I gave her everything," he muttered, his chest heavy as though the air itself had turned to stone. Desperate, he reread the thread, hoping for a sign it was a mistake, but the truth stared back cold and merciless. The clock ticked louder, mocking him, counting down to the collapse of his world. He pressed the phone to his forehead and whispered, "I should have seen this coming." But deep inside, he knew no warning would have softened this wound. Michael rose from the bed, pacing across creaking floorboards, the phone still clenched in his hand. His thoughts collided violently, shards of memory cutting into him. "She lied to me," he whispered, voice trembling. He recalled nights Emma stayed late at work, weekends she claimed exhaustion, moments she pulled away. Each excuse now stacked into a monument of deceit. His stomach churned with the realization. She was with him all along, he muttered, bile rising. Pressing his palm against the wall, he bowed his head, body trembling. The life he thought he built was nothing but sand, collapsing under its own weight. "I don't even know who she is anymore," he said, voice breaking, the words splintering the silence of the room. Michael sank onto the couch, eyes fixed on the ceiling as his chest heaved. Panic pressed on his ribs like a vise. He tried to swallow the storm, but it tore through him, unrelenting. He remembered Emma's soft voice saying, "I love you," her bright eyes when she smiled. Now, each memory turned sharp, mocking him. His fist clenched so hard his nails bit into his skin. "It was never real," he whispered as tears slid hot down his face. He buried his face in his hands, muffling a broken sob. The silence of the apartment screamed louder than any shout. Through clenched teeth he asked, "Why wasn't I enough?" His heart splintered into pieces, each beat slower, heavier, emptier. The night dragged endlessly, minutes stretching like years. Michael sat hollow, the phone heavy in his grip, cursed with every glow of its screen. Each vibration made him flinch, yet he couldn't silence it. He scrolled again, each message carving him open. He imagined confronting Emma, demanding truth, but the thought left him feeling powerless, discarded. "She chose someone else," he whispered, voice breaking. Shadows stretched across the walls as dawn crept in, pale and unforgiving. The apartment felt foreign, every corner hostile. He sat hunched, stripped of certainty, stripped of love. For the first time in years, he admitted the truth he had feared. The woman he gave his soul to had never truly loved him. Morning light seeped into the apartment, harsh and unwelcoming. Michael sat slumped at the kitchen table, coffee untouched, eyes hollow. The betrayal replayed endlessly in his mind. He whispered, "I built my life around her." His reflection in the black coffee stared back like a stranger. He tried to remember when Emma's love had felt real, when her smile warmed him instead of burning. Memories blurred with doubt, poisoned by truth. He muttered, "Was I blind the whole time?" The apartment felt like a museum of lies, every photograph mocking him. His chest ached, heavy with grief, yet part of him longed to hear her voice again. He knew he shouldn't, but love and denial twisted together. His heart begged for answers, even as his mind screamed the truth. Michael scrolled through old photos on his phone, his thumb shaking as each memory lit the screen. Emma, 32, smiling in summer light, her hand in his. She looked so happy, he whispered, the words cutting him. Every smile now felt staged, every kiss rehearsed. He remembered her saying, "You're my forever," and the words now rang like cruel theater. His throat tightened as he muttered, "I was a fool to believe." His chest burned with shame, yet grief kept him tethered. He wanted to throw the phone, but he couldn't look away from her face. The woman he thought he loved seemed like a stranger wearing Emma's skin. "Did she ever mean it?" he whispered. Silence offered no answer. The knock on the door startled him. His best friend Daniel, 35, stood outside with concerned eyes. Michael opened the door, trying to mask the devastation etched on his face. "You look destroyed," Daniel said gently. Michael let him in, shoulders slumping under invisible weight. He tried to speak, but his voice cracked. "She never loved me, Dan." The words came out hollow, lifeless. Daniel placed a hand on his shoulder, silent but steady. Michael's chest heaved as he whispered, 7 years, and it was all a lie." Tears welled, and he looked away, ashamed of his vulnerability. Daniel sighed heavily, the room filling with unspoken grief. For the first time, Michael felt the weight of his pain shared, yet it hurt no less. Michael sat across from Daniel at the kitchen table, both men silent. Daniel finally spoke. "You deserved better." Michael's eyes blurred with tears as he muttered, "I thought love meant trust." His voice trembled, carrying years of devotion shattered in one night. Daniel leaned forward, voice steady. "She didn't deserve you, Mike." But Michael shook his head, muttering, "Maybe I wasn't enough." The words hung heavy between them, a reflection of his deepest wound. Daniel clenched his fists, anger flickering in his eyes. "Don't blame yourself. She made the choice." Michael lowered his gaze, unable to believe. His heart still clung to Emma's ghost, even as the truth sat clear in front of him. Silence swallowed them again, thicker than words. Night fell as Michael sat alone again, Daniel gone. The apartment seemed colder, emptier. He stared at a framed photo of him, and Emma, her smile radiant, his arm around her. His chest ached as he whispered, "You never loved me." He set the frame down face first, unable to look at it. The silence rang like a scream. He pressed his palms against his eyes, willing himself to forget, but memories surged relentless. He remembered her laugh, her scent, her warmth, illusions now stripped of meaning. His voice broke as he muttered, "I gave you everything, and you gave me nothing." Tears streaked his face as he sat in the shadows, realizing he had been in love with a lie. Michael sat in his car outside Emma's office, staring at the glowing building. He whispered, "Late nights, always late nights." His stomach churned as he watched people exit. None were her. He remembered all her excuses, each one now stung with truth. "I believed every word," he muttered, gripping the steering wheel so tight his knuckles paled. His chest tightened as his eyes scanned every figure, hoping and fearing at once. Shadows moved inside, and his heart hammered. He muttered, "She's in there with him." Anger burned alongside despair, twisting into something darker. He wanted to storm inside, but fear chained him. For the first time, he realized he was terrified of the truth he might find. The next day, Michael scrolled through Emma's call history while she showered. His hands shook as unfamiliar numbers filled the screen. His breath quickened. He whispered, "Who are you calling every night?" He dialed one of the numbers, but hung up before it rang. Fear paralyzed him. "I don't want the answer," he muttered, but his chest screamed otherwise. He imagined her whispering to another man, laughter meant for someone else. His stomach turned, bile rising. His heart throbbed in his throat as he whispered, "She's not mine anymore." He placed the phone back as footsteps approached, masking his panic with forced calm. Inside, his soul cracked wider, truth seeping through the fractures. Michael followed Emma one evening, his car crawling behind hers through dimly lit streets. His chest pounded with every turn she took. She finally stopped at a restaurant downtown, a place he never knew she visited. He watched from a distance, breath held. Emma, 32, stepped out, dressed elegantly, her face glowing with anticipation. Michael whispered, "That smile isn't for me." His fists trembled as another figure approached. A tall man, well-groomed, opened the door for her. Rage and grief warred in Michael's veins as he muttered, "So this is him." He sank lower in his seat, the sight of them together burning into his soul. The truth he feared was no longer hidden. It was standing right in front of him. Michael gripped the steering wheel, nails digging into his palms as he watched Emma and the man step inside together. The restaurant's golden lights reflected on his face like cruel mockery. "She was never mine," he whispered, his voice hollow. He wanted to run inside, scream, demand answers, but fear rooted him. His vision blurred with tears, the couple's silhouette searing into his mind. "7 years and I'm nothing," he muttered, trembling. He slammed his fist against the dashboard, the sound echoing through the car. His chest heaved, air refusing to fill his lungs. Rage, sorrow, and shame clashed inside him, leaving him broken yet unable to look away. He whispered, "This is who she chose." Hours passed before Michael returned home, the night air clinging heavy to his skin. He dropped his keys on the counter, collapsing into the chair, staring at the void. His chest ached with every breath, images of Emma's smile haunting him. "She gave it to him," he whispered, shaking. He slammed the table, shouting, "Why wasn't I enough?" His voice cracked, breaking under the weight of betrayal. He buried his head in his hands, sobbing quietly. The apartment walls seemed to close in, shadows stretching long. He whispered again, softer this time, "She never loved me." His heart felt hollow, echoing with emptiness that no comfort could fill. The betrayal had become undeniable. He could no longer pretend. Michael sat at his desk, laptop glowing in the darkness. His hands trembled as he opened Emma's cloud account, the password guessed too easily. Folders filled the screen, their names innocent, their contents not. He clicked one at random, breath held. Images spilled across the monitor, Emma smiling with Daniel, his closest friend, arms wrapped around each other. His chest collapsed as if crushed. "Daniel," he whispered, voice broken. Every memory of loyalty, every word of trust, shattered in a blink. He slammed the laptop shut, shaking violently. It wasn't just her, it was him, he muttered, bile rising. Betrayal doubled, his heart clawed by those he trusted most. His body trembled, eyes burning with fury and disbelief. He whispered, "You both destroyed me." Michael stumbled into the bathroom, gripping the sink, staring into the mirror. His reflection looked like a stranger, eyes bloodshot, skin pale. He muttered, "My best friend." The words tasted like poison. Memories of Daniel's support, his advice, his loyalty now twisted into mockery. Michael slammed his fists on the porcelain, cracks ringing through the silence. He whispered, "You were the one I trusted most." Tears blurred his vision, his chest heaving as he tried to breathe. He felt sick, his entire world inverted. Emma's betrayal had cut deep, but Daniel's knife twisted it further. He whispered again, "Both of you." The mirror fogged with his shallow breaths, his reflection watching him fall apart. Later that night, Michael scrolled through messages again, his heart racing. The truth stood undeniable. Emma and Daniel had been meeting for months. His chest hollowed as he read Daniel's words. "He'll never know." Michael whispered, "You knew, and you laughed." Rage boiled through grief, his hands trembling so hard the phone slipped onto the floor. He pressed his palms to his face, whispering, "My best friend, my love, both liars." He rocked in place, body weak, his breath shallow. The betrayal pressed heavier with each second, suffocating him. He muttered, "It wasn't just the affair, they never loved me." The room spun, and the weight of betrayal anchored him down, chains of truth he could never escape. Michael stormed into the living room, grabbing a framed photo of the three of them, Emma, Daniel, and himself. Smiling, arms wrapped around each other. His hand shook as he stared at it. "You lied to me every time we laughed together," he muttered. He hurled the frame across the room, glass shattering into pieces. His chest heaved, every breath a struggle. He whispered, "I was blind." His eyes locked on the shards, their reflections jagged, fractured like his trust. He dropped to his knees, fists pounding the floor. "Why?" His voice echoed in the empty apartment, breaking with raw pain. He whispered through clenched teeth, "You destroyed everything." Hours later, silence draped the apartment like a shroud. Michael sat in the corner, back against the wall, surrounded by broken glass. His eyes were hollow, his breathing shallow. "They never loved me," he whispered, voice barely audible. His mind replayed every touch, every word, every smile, now stripped bare as lies. His chest felt like a cavern, hollow and endless. He muttered, "I gave them both my trust." Tears slid down his cheeks, unacknowledged. He pressed his fists into his knees, trembling. "I was nothing to them." The words echoed in the empty room. For the first time, Michael realized this was not just betrayal. This was annihilation of love itself. Michael waited in the living room, the clock ticking like a drum beat. His chest pounded as Emma walked in, 32, carrying her purse, smile fading when she saw his face. He clenched the phone in his hand, his voice low, trembling. "How long?" Emma froze, eyes darting. "Michael is not what you think," she whispered, but the lie was obvious. His jaw tightened, rage spilling out. "Don't you dare insult me again," he said, voice cracking under fury. Tears burned, but anger kept them back. She stepped closer, hand raised as if to comfort, but he pulled away sharply. "You and Daniel," he spat, the words like acid. Her silence screamed louder than any denial. The truth was out. Nothing could be undone. Emma stammered, her voice trembling. "It wasn't supposed to happen." Michael's laugh was hollow, bitter, shaking the room. 7 years, Emma. And it wasn't supposed to happen. His words pierced like knives. She lowered her gaze, tears forming. "I never wanted to hurt you," she whispered. He slammed his fist against the wall, rage exploding. "You never loved me," he shouted, his voice echoing off the walls. Emma sobbed softly, face buried in her hands, but Michael's anger refused to soften. He stepped closer, voice breaking. "You took everything from me. Everything." The silence stretched, raw and jagged, as both of them stood crushed under the weight of truth. The love that once held them was dead. The doorbell rang. Michael froze, rage flickering into dread. Emma's eyes widened, panic flashing across her face. He opened the door to find Daniel, 35, standing there, casual jacket, confident smile faltering as he saw Michael's expression. Silence cracked like thunder. Michael's voice was cold, sharp as glass. "You." Daniel shifted uneasily, guilt heavy in his eyes. Emma whispered, "Please don't." But Michael stepped aside, motioning Daniel in with venom. "Come inside, both of you." His voice trembled with restrained fury. The air thickened as Daniel entered, shoulders tense, avoiding Michael's glare. "My best friend," Michael said bitterly. The confrontation he feared was now unavoidable. His world was about to burn. Michael stood before them, his fists clenched, chest heaving. "Both of you," he hissed, "the people I trusted most." Daniel swallowed hard, stammering, "It wasn't planned." Michael's laughter was sharp, hollow. "Not planned? Months of lies, and you call that an accident?" His voice broke with rage. Emma sobbed, "Michael, please stop." He turned on her, voice trembling. "You chose him over me." The silence cut sharper than his words. Daniel stepped forward. "We didn't mean for it to go this far." Michael's face twisted in fury. "You meant every kiss, every touch, every betrayal," he spat. His voice shattered the room, leaving no space for denial. The truth stood naked, brutal, irreversible. Michael's body trembled, tears finally spilling as his rage cracked into despair. 7 years wasted, he whispered, voice broken. Emma stepped forward, tears streaming. I cared, Michael. He shook his head violently. No, you never loved me. Daniel lowered his gaze, silent, guilt etched deep in his face. Michael's voice rose, raw and torn. You both left me hollow. He collapsed into a chair, burying his face in his hands. I gave you everything, he sobbed, and I was nothing. Emma reached out, but he pulled away sharply. The silence that followed was final, cold, undeniable. In that moment, Michael knew nothing could be salvaged. The love, the trust, the friendship, all gone, destroyed beyond repair. Michael sat alone after Emma and Daniel left, the apartment silent except for his uneven breaths. His hands trembled as he whispered, I have nothing left. The glass shards from earlier glistened on the floor, mocking him with fractured reflections. He stared at his own broken outline, realizing the life he thought he had was gone. His chest tightened as grief pressed down, but somewhere beneath the pain was a faint pulse of resolve. I can't stay in this, he muttered. The silence seemed to agree, offering no comfort, only clarity. His tears slowed, replaced by a cold acceptance. The love he clung to was ashes now, and all that remained was the choice to rise or remain buried in ruin. Morning light crept in, unforgiving and bright. Michael dragged himself to the mirror, staring at the pale sunken face looking back. This is what's left, he whispered. His reflection looked like a stranger, someone hollowed by betrayal. He ran cold water over his face, the sting jolting him awake. I won't let them keep me here, he muttered, jaw tightening. The pain remained, sharp and constant, but beneath it was the faintest ember of determination. He wiped his face, eyes swollen but steady, whispering, I will survive this. The words felt foreign but necessary. His reflection didn't fight back this time. It simply stared back, broken yet still standing, daring him to take the first step forward. Michael wandered into the kitchen, the air heavy with emptiness. He opened the fridge and pulled out a bottle of water, staring at it as though it were a lifeline. He sat at the table whispering, I have to start again. The silence didn't argue. He looked at the empty chair across from him, memories of Emma laughing there burning into him. He clenched his jaw, muttering, not anymore. For the first time, the thought of letting go didn't feel impossible. Painful, yes, but maybe survivable. His fingers tapped against the bottle rhythmically, steadying his breathing. He whispered, I won't let this kill me. The words were quiet, but they carried a strength he hadn't heard in his own voice before. Later, Michael stepped outside, the cold air biting his skin. The world felt cruelly normal, people passing by unaware of his brokenness. He walked slowly, hands shoved into his jacket pockets, each step heavy. I can't let their lies define me, he whispered under his breath. The sky was pale gray, clouds hanging low, mirroring his mood. Yet the act of moving, of leaving the apartment, felt like defiance. He paused at a crosswalk, staring at strangers laughing together, and his chest ached with longing. He muttered, I'll get there again. His voice shook, but the words carried weight. For the first time, the road ahead felt terrifying but possible. He wasn't healed, but he was moving. That evening, Michael returned home, the apartment still echoing with emptiness. Yet something felt different. He picked up the shattered photo frame, carefully gathering the pieces. He whispered, no more. Instead of keeping it, he dropped the fragments into the trash. His chest ached, but relief flickered faintly. This is the first step, he muttered, standing taller than before. The silence no longer mocked him. It simply was. He sat down, exhaling deeply, eyes heavy but calmer. His scars were fresh, his wounds open, but for the first time, the future wasn't just pain. He whispered, I'll rebuild. The words hung in the air, fragile but real. And for the first time, he believed them. Michael sat in his car outside Emma's apartment, night pressing down like a weight. The building glowed with warm light, mocking his cold resolve. He whispered, "One last time." His chest rose and fell in shallow breaths, hands trembling on the steering wheel. The pain inside him pulsed with every beat of his heart. He muttered, "She needs to hear it." The betrayal had hollowed him, but it had also left him sharp, stripped of illusions. He stepped out of the car, the air bitter against his skin. Every step toward the building was heavy, but his jaw clenched tighter. He whispered again, "This ends tonight." The silence around him carried his words into the dark, final and unshakable. Emma opened the door, surprise flickering across her face. "Michael," she whispered, voice unsteady. He stood still, eyes hollow, jaw set like stone. "I'm not here to beg," he said coldly. She hesitated, tears threatening to form, but he cut her silence with sharp words. "I gave you everything, and you gave me lies." Emma's shoulders trembled, her lips parting with words she couldn't form. He stepped inside slowly, gaze locked on her, the air between them thick with unfinished pain. His voice cracked as he whispered, "You never loved me." The words landed like a hammer, breaking the fragile silence into shards. Her tears finally fell, but he didn't flinch. Daniel appeared from the hallway, his face pale as he froze at the sight of Michael. Silence cut deeper than words. Michael's voice was sharp, quiet. "Both of you." Daniel lowered his head, guilt painting his features. Emma reached out, whispering, "Please don't do this." Michael stepped back, pointing at them both. "I was nothing to you," he said, voice shaking with fury and sorrow. Daniel muttered weakly, "It just happened." Michael's laugh was bitter, hollow. "No, you chose this." His chest heaved as he whispered, "You chose each other, and you killed me." The words scorched the air, final and undeniable. Neither Emma nor Daniel had anything left to defend. Michael's voice softened, but it carried more weight than any scream. "I loved you both," he said, eyes glassy with tears. "And you turned me into nothing." Emma sobbed openly, Daniel's jaw clenched in shame. Michael's voice cracked, raw and final. "You didn't just betray me, you erased me." He took a long breath, his body trembling but steady. He whispered, "I'm done." The words hung in the air like a death sentence, cutting through their tears. Without another glance, he turned toward the door, leaving them behind in silence. His heart shattered, but with each step, he reclaimed a piece of himself that they had stolen. Michael stepped into the cold night air, the door shutting behind him with a final thud. He walked slowly down the street, the weight of betrayal still crushing him, but something had shifted. The chains of denial were broken. His tears streamed silently, his lips trembling as he whispered, "You didn't think I'd ever find out, did you?" The night swallowed his words, leaving him alone with the truth. His heart still bled, his soul scarred, but the silence felt different now. It was no longer the silence of lies. It was the silence of survival. For the first time, he felt a fragile, painful freedom. The future remained uncertain, but it was his.